Streetlights, although they may appear to be a simple thing, South Africans say a lack of lights in their communities is putting their lives in danger. Simply put, it's too dark. We have Ngobile Madlala in White River in Mpumalanga today to hear just how the community there is coping. Also, if my colleagues Dasen Tatia in Durban and Heidi Jokos in Gauteng will also catch up with them shortly. But Ngobile, let's start with you this hour. What can you tell us? What have you seen where you are in Mpumalanga?
Well, Bradan, for starters, yesterday we came in here with Mudeni and it was very difficult to drive in. It's way too dark. At some point we were driving at bright lights, and that alone was a bit difficult to do because you blind the next person that comes the other way. So that was a problem. We spoke to some of the schools in the area. They were having similar issues, saying that they've had accidents on the streets. We also spoke to lodgers and people who owned businesses as well as stayed in the area, and they all said the same thing, that they really, really think the roads needs to be looked at. And this time they were saying that the issue now has even gone as far as affecting the tourism in the area, and therefore this was meaning that for them there's no money coming in. But joining me now, Bradan, is Mpumalanga Tourism and Parks Agency CEO, who's going to speak to us about this problem, because this is nothing new, obviously, in this province. What is going on?
Well, on the issue of the road network that is leading several tourism destinations, we have got two categories of roads. There are those roads that are managed by the provincial government, and there are those roads that are managed by municipalities. As the Mpumalanga Tourism and Parks Agency, together with the tourism private sector, over the past 2 years, we formed a forum wherein we brought together the private sector and the various departments that are involved on the issue of ensuring that the state of our roads is traversable in the province, including, of course, with local government. We have agreed on a program with the Department of Public Works, which prioritizes our tourism network, and also which ensures that on those roads that have not been prioritized, at least there's some work that is done to ensure that there is a reduction of potholes or elimination of potholes. I must indicate that over the past 24 months, there has been some improvements, but the improvements were also reversed by the storm that we had in the area of Eloise, which made some of our roads to be totally impossible to drive. And that on its own meant that some of the gains that we have made have been reversed. But nonetheless, we are continuing with the interdepartmental forum, wherein we are looking at how to improve the situation, and also the fact that some of the roads would now fall under the issue of the LOE's rebuilding, because the province has been declared a disaster area. We would get many of those roads attended to.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. Well, as you can hear there, Bradan, just an explanation that there seems to be a light at the end of the tunnel. It seems like there is something on the works, but we will be speaking to the Department of Public Works a little later on to also hear about this program as to see if it will assist anyone as we go forward.
Yeah, and we know the importance of street lighting. Thank you very much, the Ngobile Madlala in White River in Mpumalanga. Now, here in Johannesburg, we hear about vandalism. Illegal connections are being blamed for the lack of street lights around the capital, of course, of Gauteng. That's Johannesburg. People around the country have been complaining of non-working, non-existent street lights. The city of Johannesburg, for its part, says it's planning an education campaign, also looking at using solar power for street lighting. My colleague, that's Heidi Jokos, finds herself in Alexander. Heidi, good afternoon. What have you found out? What's the situation like in Alex?
The situation here, Bradan, is not a good one. We understand that there has been lots of theft and vandalism here in this township. Earlier on, we got a chance to speak to the MMC of Environment and Infrastructure Services, who's highlighted the fact that the main issue here is the fact that the city will come out and repair the street lights, but the issue is back to normal 2 days afterwards. I'm going to show you, I'm going to ask our cameraman, Gift Shabalala, to show you that this is a very long street in Alex Township, where we understand that the city actually came out to repair these street lights. There are about over 50 street lights in this particular street. The street is about 1.5 meters long, and we do understand, Bradan, that it cost the city over 1 million rand to fix these street lights. It's between 10,000 to 15,000 rand to repair one street light. And we understand the city had repaired all of these lights, and literally about 2 days later, we understand that the lights were vandalized again. The cables were stolen, as well as the bulbs were also stolen. So most of the street actually does not have working street lights, which is a huge issue. But how does the city control something when the problem keeps arising? How does the city keep repairing lights if this keeps happening? And there has been a huge budget allocation for the city just for street lights, over 200 million rand. But when you have a situation like this where you repair all the street lights, 2 days later it gets stolen again, how does one make sure that the city remains lit? But let's listen to what the MMC said with regards to this.
Lighting is an essential service. We want to have each and every street to have street lighting. It reduces crime. It makes people safe. But we have challenges. As City Power, we spend almost 230 million to repair all vandalized street lights and replacing all faulty globes. We spend almost 135 million on new street lights, or where areas they don't have street light, we go and install. We are challenged by people who are vandalizing. They're stealing the cable. Where we are now, they've dug up the cable. They either use the cable to do illegal connections, or they sell it to the scrapyard. In other instances, they even cut the pole to get the cable if the cable is overhead. So we have serious challenges. But as a city, we are going out on a request for information for detection on vandalism, especially on cables and the poles.
Okay, Heidi Jokos, they were giving us a sense of what the MMC in Gauteng is saying about the problems in Johannesburg, the problems of the capital city of Gauteng. Let's go to Durban now. Dessen, your side, what's the situation at eThekwini?
Well, the people of eThekwini share similar frustrations with those residents across the country. And in fact, we're here in KwaMashu. It's just one of the many areas in the city where there have been reports of streetlights that are not working, some that have been, as the MMC was saying there, that the poles have been cut, the cables have been taken out. And we've been spending the last hour or two just driving around here. We were in Phoenix earlier as well, and that's the situation. What residents are saying, though, in some instances, like earlier, we had an opportunity to speak to the CPF chair here, Phenzero Hlachwayo. She says that it's not necessarily that the municipality is not doing its work. It's also the criminal element that is now causing this problem, which is impacting the broader community here. Those people that are having to walk through dark areas to catch a taxi or get off a bus. And that is part of the problem here. So the municipality would come in, for example, and repair a pole, but within a day or two, they'd find that that pole is down again. Let's listen into some of that conversation with Phenzero Hlachwayo.
There are many parts of Phoenix that have this problem. And when we have thefts and crimes that take place in the area, as you can see the Woodview Park behind us, these are the escape routes for the suspects. It becomes very difficult for us to track and trace the suspects due to them no streetlights or poor visibility for security personnel.
I guess security and safety, Dessen, will also be top of mind for the residents of eThekwini, like where you are now in KwaMashu.
Exactly, and I think that was the incorrect bite that just played there, but that also speaks to what we're talking about now around the issues of security. That was a gentleman from a security company, KZN VIP, Gareth Naidu, and he was saying to us that one of the problems that they face is particularly when it's dark. And as I said, these problems are not just in any particular area, it's a similar situation wherever it is that you're speaking about. But the problem arises when, for example, they're trying to track down suspects, and the suspects have an advantage because they are concealed completely by the darkness and tend to have a better understanding of the area that they're in. The other problem that arises is that of accidents. But let's just have a listen to that interview that I was talking about earlier with the CPF in KwaMashu.
It's a big problem because as we see, we're standing in a P section. People come that side. On my right, they come to work. They travel with taxi. They come at night. If they come at night, they travel with in that park. And then in the night, they dark. They have a huge problem because they think the people that are committing a criminal, they come there and took all the bags because we have no light, we have nothing that it makes us as a people to become useful for that.
A member of the KwaMashu CPF, that's the Community Policing Forum, ending that report by Dasen Tatia from eThekwini. A little bit earlier, we also heard from Kobile Madlala in White River in Mpumalanga and Heidi Jokos in Alexandra here in Gauteng, as part of our focus on the issue of street lighting, where residents are highlighting the need for lights at night because it becomes unsafe.